Have you ever felt like you're invisible? Like you're shouting into a void where nobody hears you, nobody sees you, and nobody cares? Maybe you've been working tirelessly, giving everything you have, yet it seems the world has turned its back on you. You scroll through social media, and everyone else appears to be thriving, celebrated, remembered, while you feel like a forgotten shadow in the corner of existence. But what if I told you that in this very moment of feeling forgotten, there's a voice trying to reach you? A voice that has never forgotten your name, your story, or your worth. Stay with me, because what Jesus would tell you right now might completely transform how you see yourself and your place in this world. Jesus would first remind you that being forgotten by the world does not mean you are forgotten by the one who created the world. In the Gospel of Matthew, he says that not even a sparrow falls to the ground without the Father knowing, and you are worth more than many sparrows. Think about that for a moment. The God who orchestrated galaxies, who painted sunsets and carved mountains, keeps count of every hair on your head. The world may have a short memory and a shallow attention span, but the divine has an eternal consciousness where you have always been present, known, and deeply loved. He would tell you that the world's recognition is often a fleeting illusion that leaves people emptier than before they received it. So many who appear celebrated on the surface are privately drowning in anxiety, comparison, and the exhausting performance of maintaining an image. Jesus would gently challenge your definition of being remembered. Is it about being seen by thousands who don't truly know you, or being intimately known by the one who created your innermost being? The applause of crowds fades like morning mist, but the affirmation of the Creator is eternal and unshakable. Jesus would remind you that some of history's most significant figures experienced profound seasons of being forgotten and overlooked. Joseph spent years in prison, forgotten by those he had helped before becoming second in command of Egypt. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, seemingly forgotten, before leading the greatest liberation in history. David was forgotten by his own father when the prophet came to anoint Israel's king, left in the fields with the sheep while his brothers were presented. Yet these seasons of obscurity were not punishments, they were preparations for purposes greater than temporary recognition. He would tell you that feeling forgotten often means you're in a sacred season of refinement that the world cannot see or understand. While others are chasing visibility, you are developing character. While others are building platforms, you're building depth. While others are collecting followers, you're cultivating faithfulness. These hidden seasons are where the roots grow deep, where your dependence shifts from human approval to divine purpose, where your identity becomes anchored in something the world can neither give nor take. He would speak directly to the pain of your loneliness because he knows what it feels like to be forgotten and abandoned. In the Garden of Gethsemane, his closest friends fell asleep during his greatest hour of need. On the cross, even his Father seemed to turn away as he cried out, "Why have you forsaken me?" He experienced the ultimate abandonment so that you would never have to walk through yours alone. He doesn't minimize your pain with empty platitudes, he validates it with his own scars. He would tell you that the world's forgetfulness is often a form of protection rather than rejection. Being forgotten by the world means you're protected from its fickleness, its harsh judgments, and its tendency to build people up only to tear them down. You're shielded from the corruption that often comes with premature visibility, from the compromise that fame demands, from the distraction that recognition brings. What feels like exile might actually be a sanctuary where your soul can develop without the pollution of public opinion. Jesus would remind you that you're never working in vain, even when no one witnesses your efforts. Every act of kindness that went unnoticed, every sacrifice that was taken for granted, every moment you chose integrity when no one was watching, all of it is recorded in a realm beyond human memory. The divine economy operates differently than the world's. Nothing is wasted, nothing is forgotten, nothing goes unrewarded. Your faithfulness in obscurity is building an eternal weight of glory that far outweighs any temporary recognition. He would challenge you to examine what you're really longing for when you say you feel forgotten. Is it validation, purpose, connection, significance? Jesus would lovingly show you that all these needs can only be fully met in relationship with Him, not in the world's acknowledgement. When you find your significance in being His beloved, chosen, and called, the world's forgetfulness loses its power to define you. You become free from the exhausting cycle of performing for approval. Jesus would tell you that obscurity is often the training ground for influence. The greatest servants are those who learned to serve faithfully when no one was watching, who developed their gifts in secret before displaying them in public, who mastered the art of obedience in small things before being trusted with larger assignments. Your hidden season is not wasted time, it's essential preparation. The world may not see your rehearsal, but it will eventually witness your performance, and the depth you developed in obscurity will give your message authenticity that cannot be manufactured. He would remind you that being forgotten by people often creates the space necessary to be found by God. When the noise of human opinion quiets down, you can finally hear the still small voice that has been calling your name all along. When the distraction of seeking recognition fades, you can finally focus on the divine assignment you were created to fulfill. Sometimes God allows you to feel forgotten by the world so you can discover what it means to be remembered by heaven. Jesus would tell you that your value is not determined by who remembers you, but by who created you. You were not an accident or an afterthought. You were intentionally designed with specific gifts, passions, and purposes that the world desperately needs. The fact that your contribution hasn't been recognized yet doesn't diminish its importance. Some of the most crucial work happens in obscurity, like roots that no one sees but that make the visible tree possible. He would gently confront any bitterness or resentment that has grown in your heart from feeling overlooked. These emotions are understandable, but they're also poison that will destroy you from the inside out if you let them take root. Jesus would invite you to release those who have forgotten you, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Holding on to hurt only keeps you trapped in the past, unable to move into the future God has prepared for you. Jesus would tell you that the world's forgetfulness is temporary, but your eternal significance is permanent. There is coming a day when every hidden thing will be brought to light, when every secret act of faithfulness will be publicly rewarded, when every tear cried in obscurity will be wiped away by the hand of God Himself. The world's memory is short, but heaven's memory is eternal. What seems forgotten now is actually being carefully preserved for a future moment of divine vindication. He would remind you that comparison is the thief of joy and the enemy of your peace. When you measure your worth by how visible others are, you're playing a game you were never meant to win. God didn't create you to be someone else's duplicate. He created you to be an original. Your journey, your timing, your path is uniquely yours, and comparing it to anyone else's is like comparing a sunrise to a sunset and asking which is better. Both are beautiful, both are necessary, both are right on time. Jesus would tell you that your feeling of being forgotten by the world might actually be an invitation to a deeper intimacy with Him. Sometimes God allows external supports to fall away so you'll learn to lean entirely on Him. When people forget you, you discover whether God is truly enough. When recognition fades, you find out if your relationship with the divine is real or just a means to an end. These desert seasons, though painful, produce a quality of faith that prosperity could never develop. He would speak hope into your future, reminding you that resurrection always follows crucifixion in the kingdom of God. What looks dead is often just dormant, waiting for the right season to spring to life. Your dreams haven't died, they're buried like seeds, germinating in darkness, preparing to break through the soil with a force that will surprise everyone, including you. The world may have written you off, but God is writing your comeback story. Jesus would tell you that being forgotten by the world positions you to make an eternal impact rather than a temporary splash. Those who chase visibility often build monuments to themselves that crumble with time. But those who faithfully serve in obscurity build eternal legacies that ripple through generations. Your work in the shadows is laying foundations that will support structures you may never see in your lifetime, but that will stand long after the world's fleeting celebrities are forgotten. He would remind you that you're in good company. The forgotten, the overlooked, the underestimated are exactly the people God specializes in using. He chose a stuttering murderer to confront Pharaoh, a teenage girl to bear the Savior, a cowardly fisherman to lead his church, and a persecutor of Christians to write most of the New Testament. God's resume is filled with people the world forgot, dismissed, or counted out. Your current obscurity might be the very qualification God is looking for. Jesus would tell you to shift your focus from who has forgotten you to who you can serve. Ironically, the fastest way out of the pain of feeling forgotten is to remember others, to notice the overlooked, to encourage the discouraged, to lift up the downtrodden. When you become a source of light for others in their darkness, you stop feeling so dark yourself. Purpose is found not in being remembered, but in making others feel remembered, seen, and valued. He would challenge you to redefine success not by worldly metrics of recognition and fame, but by kingdom metrics of faithfulness and obedience. Did you love well today? Did you show kindness when no one was watching? Did you choose integrity over convenience? Did you serve faithfully regardless of acknowledgement? These are the questions that matter in eternity. The world's scoreboard is temporary, but heaven's record is forever. Jesus would tell you that this season of feeling forgotten is teaching you one of life's most valuable lessons: how to find joy independent of circumstances and approval. When your happiness depends on being remembered, you're at the mercy of fickle human attention. But when your joy is rooted in your identity as God's beloved child, nothing the world does or doesn't do can shake it. You're learning to be content in obscurity, which prepares you to remain humble in visibility. He would remind you one final time that you have never been and will never be forgotten by the one whose opinion actually matters. Before you were formed in the womb, He knew you. Before you took your first breath, He called you by name. Before the world even had a chance to forget you, you were eternally remembered by the King of Heaven. And that, beloved, changes everything. If this message spoke to your heart today, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share one word that describes how you're feeling right now. And if you know someone who needs to hear that they're not forgotten, share this video with them. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that like button so we can continue spreading messages of hope and truth together. Remember, you are seen, you are known, and you are deeply loved. I'll see you in the next video.